Organizing those clamps last week has sort of inspired me to start straightening up other parts of my shop. And I'm going to start with this lumber rack. I made this a long time ago and it's actually worked out fairly well. The most important thing was to get my wood up off the floor because this area of my shop tends to flood if we get a lot of rain. It's just made with a 2x4 frame and an OSB sheet as a floor. I made some little dividers just using some PVC pipe and I just epoxied them into another 2x4 against the wall. The idea here is that I can store short sheet goods in here in these dividers, and then I can store cutoffs in this box. The problem with this is I can't get very wide sheets in here, otherwise it just blocks my path. Most lumber racks are designed to hold a 4x8 sheet of plywood, but I gotta tell you, I never store 4x8 sheets of lumber. And I think I'm like most guys, if I have a project that requires plywood and I need to get a sheet of plywood, I'm gonna use it right away just for that project. It's not something I buy a whole bunch of plywood to store. But storing half a sheet of plywood is pretty common. The only problem is I don't have a good way of storing that. And as I'm getting up into my advanced years, it's only a matter of time before I break a hip using my current system. So yeah, a better system for storing 4x4 sheets would be pretty handy. I'm starting by cutting a series of dados on the base. I need to tip my saw to a 5-degree angle to make that center panel. And wrap dados in it for shelves. I'm cutting 5 dividers and making an angled cut on each using my bandsaw. I haven't really figured out how I'm going to assemble this. I just know I'm going to start from the base and work my way up. And you can watch me struggle with it too. I'm going to mark a line on the back side of these dados so I'll know where to put some screws. So I'm just going to do these panels here one at a time and try to steady them with this wood clamp. And I'll see if I can get some screws in here. Well, that worked out surprisingly better than I anticipated. I think that would be almost impossible to do this without making those dados to line everything up. The center divider should go a lot easier. I'm cutting one edge on each shelf at a 5-degree angle. I'm pre-drilling the holes for the shelves from this side so I'll be able to find them on the other side. I'm just getting the screws started on this side. I'm going to start with the bottom shelf and the top shelf. Having these dados in here really help to square it up and pull it together kind of naturally. And I've got my 5-degree angle right here. This tilted panel then will go up here and I'll glue it and screw it into these two shelves. And down here is where I cut that 5-degree angle on it. I drew a line on here so I'll know where to put these screws. And these two shelves I'll cut to fit. I'm going to try to lay it back on my truck and use it as a workbench, and this is going to be a trick. Well, that was fun. I'm gonna reinforce the bottom of this with some 3-inch strips. And I can put the casters on while I've got this turned over. All right, let's see how this goes. Wow, this is really going to hold a lot more wood than I ever thought. This is also a good opportunity for me to throw away a bunch of this wood that I'm probably never going to use. Like, why in the world would I save this strip of particle board? Now's when I get to find out if anything has died back behind here. Looks pretty good. That'll work.